Levon Gugasian was born on November 16, 1938 in Sochi, Russia. He grew up in Germany and later moved to New York. He was drafted into the United States Army and told us what his first few days in service were like.
Miserable. Miserable. Well, it was cold. Don't forget, I went into service in October. And in New York, back east, that was a cold time. And I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, and there was already snow on the floor. And we were at Fort Dix about a week till they gave us our uniforms and everything. But every morning, you had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, do your exercises and all that. And then after that, we were shipped to Fort Benning, Georgia. Okay, that was a totally different boot camp.
He told us what a typical morning was like for all the soldiers in Fort Benning, Georgia.
We would get up 5 o'clock in the morning, okay, and we'd stand in line, was it like a head count, and after that, we would go into the mess hall, chow, which was the best part of it. You know, we went for breakfast, and after you come out of breakfast, okay, you go back in your barracks, you have to redo your room, your bed.
Mr. Gugasian was put through extreme physical tests in Fort Benning, Georgia. Since he passed the tests and spoke Russian, German, and Armenian, he was placed in the Special Forces.
Special Forces qualifications were you had to be physically fit and also speak languages. In other words, what they would do with us is they would use us to throw us behind the enemy lines, okay? And we would work our way back, you know, and we would like destroy all the communication stuff and all that.
After about a year in Fort Benning, Georgia, Mr. Gugasian and several other troops were sent to be stationed in Schweinfurt, Germany.
Schweinfurt is about 50 clicks from Würzburg, which was the biggest town there. But Schweinfurt was well known during the Second World War. That's where they used to make the bearings, the ball bearings. You know, during the war, because all the, ball bearings were an important part because they used them in airplanes, boats, or whatever, you know, it was a ball bearing factory.
Every day for 1 year, Mr. Gugasian and the other troops played war games and trained about 2 hours a day. Life seemed much better in Schweinfurt than it did in Fort Benning.
And we were there over a year, and we played war games. That's all we did. Every day we would play different war games. We would go to the firing range, we'd fire weapons, and normal thing, you get up first thing in the morning, you had your exercise for 1 hour, you have chow, and you know, after that you play all kinds of war games. You know, they prepared us for war, basically.
He really wasn't kidding when he said they prepared him for war. The war games they played were not all fun and games. He told us more about what they were taught if they were sent to battle.
I learned how to use everything the Army had. I knew how to drive tanks. I knew how to drive jeeps. I knew how to fire those rockets. I knew how to make plastic explosives, which they were calling Bangalore torpedoes in them days, you know. And we also learned how to be aggressors. In other words, you know, in case, you got into it, they showed us how to actually kill people with silent weapons, which was either your hands or bayonet, without letting off a shot.
Mr. Gugasian felt pretty lonely during the first few weeks in Germany, However, he kept in touch with his family and became very good friends with some of the other soldiers.
I wrote a letter. First, I wrote letters almost every day or two, but you get pretty lonely. There's nothing out there, man. It's just a bunch of guys that all, you know, all you do is just you you work your butt off all day, and at night, you know, you just, everybody gets together and drinks. What we did is drink every night. We were drunk every day almost. So in the beginning, we used to write letters home at least every couple of days, then every couple of weeks, then, the longer you're there, the more you adjust yourself to your buddies. Because the guys that were in the army, they became my family. They became my friends. We were like brothers, okay?
They took advantage of every open night they had. Mr. Gugasian and all of his buddies set out to a big town and participated in huge German beer festivals.
We used to go to, the Germans used to have these beer fests, huge. It's a huge tent, and they used to serve beer and bratwurst. And we used to go, a bunch of army guys, we used to go there. And the Germans, because we were the occupiers, they didn't like us, And especially, we'd go there, and next thing is we drunk, and we get into fights with them and all, but we all stick together, And yeah, it was very, very memorable.
Mr. Gugasian mentioned earlier how he made several new friends, and later on he met a soldier that he would remember for the rest of his life.
Well, one of the most memorable experiences was meeting Elvis Presley. Okay, we were playing war games in Grafenwehr. Grafenwehr is a part of Germany where it's a kind of wilderness, Hitler had that set up during Second World War as his training camp for his tank battalions. And Elvis Presley was attached to a tank battalion. He was not allowed to sing. On weekends, we used to hang out in the enlistment's club. We basically all we did is, we just drank our troubles away. We just went in there, and at that time, there was nothing else to do, but everybody got drunk. So we had one night, we had a USO came and did a show for us, and they asked Elvis to perform because Elvis was there, and he had a contract with Colonel Parker that he would not sing while he was in the army. He was not allowed to sing. So I convinced him to come and sing, and he did. He came. I said, "Come on, man." I said, "Well, we're all dog-fair soldiers. We're all in this together. At least do one tune, at least one." And he says, my contract. He says, I'll lose one. I said, "Listen, man." I said, it's for us. He did. He showed up and he sang.
That's pretty cool. One day, Mr. Gugasian decided to play a prank on Pitts, another soldier.
We were in Fort Benning, Georgia. We were doing live fire exercises, which means that instead of using blanks, we're using real bullets. And basically, we would advance. There was a row of foxholes. You know what foxholes are?
Like little trenches?
Little trenches that you jump into, okay, and you fire. Then you run, and 20 feet down, there's another trench you jump into, you fire, and like advancing. So I jumped in one of the trenches, and there's a rattlesnake there. you know, but I didn't even think of it. You know, I just, you know, my reflex is very quick. Okay, I grabbed the rattlesnake. Okay, I grabbed it right away. I mean, you know, I had no choice. It's either him or me. So I grabbed it. So what am I going to do? I had an ammunition box, which, you know, we carried the bullets in, but the ammo box was almost empty. Okay, so I dumped the ammo box out. I put the snake in there, and I closed the ammo box. Okay, and I was gonna, like, you know, show the guys that I caught a snake, right? My bare hands. So.
So did you pull a prank on them or something?
Wait. So the guy. There was a guy next to me. His name was Pitts. Okay, I never forget that. And he calls over to me, and he called me, you know, hey, Gugasian. Hey, Gugasian. I said, man, you got any more bullets? I said, I just happen to have some. You know, he says he ran out of ammo. He says, throw me some ammo. It's like the foxhole right next to me. So what do you think I did? Beautiful snake in there. I threw it over to him. I never forget. I threw it over to him, and next thing is I hear this guy yelling, "Don't shoot! Don't shoot!" He was running down firing line. You know, I mean, we had live fire exercise, man. We could have shot him. You know, he's running right down, and finally, you know, they stopped them, and, you know, everybody stopped shooting, and they said, what's your problem? He says, he sent me a live snake. You know what? He said, he threw over a rattler, man. I asked him for ammo. He sent me a rattler. They looked at me. I said, man, I don't know. I said, he asked me for ammo. I said, I saw an ammo box over there. I threw it to him. That was, you know what? For the next 2 years I was in the Army, that guy would never acknowledge me or talk to me. He never, ever, ever said even hello. I say, hey, Pitts, how you doing? I ain't talking to you. I say, hey, Pitts, man, come on. I ain't talking to you. And for 2 years, he never spoke to me, you know.
After 2 years and 2 days, Mr. Gugasian retired from the United States Army on October 20th, 1960. He said it was the best day of his life.
But one thing the Army taught me, I learned discipline. You know, I used to be very sloppy before I went in the Army. But when I got in the Army, I learned how to make my own bed. I, you know, do my own laundry, and, you know, just make sure that, you know, I just neatened up. I was a slob before I went there. When I came out of the Army, I learned discipline, which stayed with me till today. It had helped me immensely in my private life and in business. Okay, I'm never late. I'm on time. You know, I try and be neat. You know, everything I do. You know, so that means a lot.